it's going to come down to is just how high a priority they want to put on each individual hero in these fights. Obviously, Loda, a big priority as well, but sometimes just being able to blow up one of the supporting casts on the side of Alliance going to be very, very important. And we're in kind of this interesting situation where you have a bounty hunter pickup. Bulldog will be making his way towards drums. He's almost done with them now. But, you know, they need to weather the storm that is the magic damage output Na'Vi has. Na'Vi really the ones under the gun here with this kind of lineup to execute, especially with the IO on top of the magic-centric kind of a lineup they've drafted. But Alliance kind of needs them to do that as well to get a lot out of this bounty hunter pick. So you got two teams with two very good reasons to be trying to fight, and I don't think we're going to see the action let up anytime soon. Chin did finish his mech quite some time ago. Now we see Windrunner picking up hers as well, so Funnick going to be able to even that balance.
And some dewarding coming on here from Alliance. So they're going to go for the Roshan. This is something that Alliance love to do. Whenever they get heroes that can do Roshan, they pretty much do it immediately, especially when they're Dire side. So Power Shot doing some scouting. Na'Vi know this is going on. Now, this is going to be an interesting fight because, honestly, Havos isn't even really close to the fight. And I think Alliance could just be getting this for free, which I think would be a really big mistake.
They're moving over into position. Puppey's the one leading with the phase. You see a Dark Troll Summoner. Looks like Alliance really kind of gun-shy about finishing this out. Roche is down to a quarter. We've got Curl and Puppey hooked up. Puppey does have an Epicenter. Now remember, he can relocate the Epicenter once it begins to go off. A poor man's Blink Dagger or a rich one if you want to think of it that way. So heard the Shackle Shot, but doesn't look like it latched. Again, Roche, very low health. Both teams very trepidatious about abandoning this piece of real estate. In the meantime, Na'Vi moving back over into mid. Looks like Loda and company in the mood to do the same. Gyro has finished his BKB, very important item for him for obvious reasons. However, again, the Ensnare, and that just makes the Ensnare out of the Naga Siren all the more important. EGM is going to have to be on point and make sure that that is his #1 focus and make sure he isn't focused down before he can lock the Gyro down and allow Loda to close the distance and get on top of it.
Well, even if they do ensnare him, all Havos has to do is hit one target because Flat Cannon's going to hit everybody in the fight anyway. And Snare's not necessarily as effective versus him with the BKB as it would be any melee carry, for example, so I think he's still going to be fine. And it was a really nice move by Na'Vi to start pressuring mid, just force Alliance out of the area of Roshan completely and make them basically move out and allow you to go back to doing whatever it is you were doing. The later the game goes, a Gyrocopter during the late game, his damage output scales so much more, again, because of Flat Cannon. So while Loda might be able to focus the Gyrocopter, he has such a great support cast between Shackles, of course, Wisp being able to relocate him out. We've already seen Kuro do that, and a Sand King to be able to stun and peel for him. But now Loda with the BKB, he can try to go in and focus, but right now it's just both teams more or less sitting around mid. The one thing...
Oh, Shackle!
Loda.
Right off the creep, a little bit of trading and paint, but doesn't look like they're going to follow it up. They actually had a couple. Kuro and Puppey are a little bit out of position there, unable to contribute if they had decided to go. Now, Alliance once again going to move into the Roche pit. Roche has regen to a little bit above half health at the moment. Na'Vi is a little bit spread out. As you can see, S4 showing his face at top of that haste room. And Na'Vi looks like Funnick most likely going to take a scout shot, and he will. So he knows what's going on. I don't think they're going to be able to get here, though. The firepower from Alliance just recognizing the movement out of Na'Vi. And that's going to be a free Aegis. That's going to end up going to Loda. In the meantime, there was a tower denied in top as well, so the top tier 2 did end up dropping on the side of Na'Vi.
Just out-positioning by Alliance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they knew it or not, but Wisp didn't have a TP, so when Havos TPs back to the Tier 2, the only way to get him back to the fight in time is to have the Wisp also teleport to the Tier 2, so you can go in and try to contest the Roshan. But since he didn't have one, as soon as he TP'd out, they basically conceded completely. So now they're actually going to try to force the fight middle, but S4 does have a TP, so they should very easily be able to react to this. And of course, like you said, with the Aegis, I think that Alliance are more than likely going to be able to defend this Tier 1. So Na'Vi getting a little bit behind at this point in time, and a lot of that is due to the fact that Alliance have heroes who effectively utilize the map a lot more. I mean, when you have a Wisp and a Sand King, they're not necessarily known for heroes who farm, per se. The Wisp will follow a hero around who does farm, but he's not going to really get any of his own. So the longer this goes on, Alliance, I think, are getting farther and farther ahead, and they realize that they have an advantage at the moment. They're looking at Na'Vi's Tier 1 mid.
Right now, you really got to worry for Na'Vi. I agree with you. Loda in great shape. He's already picked up the plate mail, so he's taking up armor-wise. That comes after the BKB, which, again, when you look at the damage output Na'Vi is relying on right now, such an important item, and he's making good progress. Again, we take a look at the net worth. He has opened up a fairly large chasm in terms of net worth, 3,500 ahead of the Gyrocopter. When you look at Havost's build, it's it's a very defensive build, farm-oriented build. He's got the Helm of the Dominator, which, by the way, that Helm of the Dominator does have a nice added benefit in allowing him to steal one of Chin's creeps. We actually saw that happen in mid not long ago. So, the item itself, very farm-centric, will contribute to these early fights in a very subtle way, but he still needs damage. He has to have it, and the other thing about Alliance's lineup, is that Ake is going to be able to extend these fights, not just with the mechanism, but with Hand of God. The longer these fights go between that and Chemical Rage on Loda, the region that comes with that, it's going to be so hard for Na'Vi to fight after that initial burst of magic damage until the Gyro gets absolutely huge.
And that time is something that Alliance are likely to not give them. Right now they take the tier 1 for free, more or less. It was completely uncontested, so Alliance getting a little bit farther ahead. Na'Vi definitely getting forced back here. And S4 has an Invis, it's going to be wearing off, though. I don't think Alliance have to do this. They can just go back to doing what they were doing. Your Alchemist is going to get 6-slotted before the Gyrocopter anyway, and Alliance's team mid-game is still very, very strong, especially on the back of things like track. A Bulldog is going to be level 10 soon, so he's getting very close to level 2 track. Na'Vi going to get spotted here by Alliance and just choose to retreat, which again I feel is the right call. You don't really want to take a fight with your opponent having an Aegis.
Oh, there's a coil, going to catch two. Silence on both. Here comes the call down. Dendi blown up immediately. Kuro can't move. Havost is locked down as well. Kuro blown up. The BKB negating all of the epicenter damage. That's 2-0 and an easy 2-0 at that. Havost on the run will be tracked, but S4 no way to lock him down with the coil already spent. And Alliance beginning to flex their muscles in a big way. We said it during the draft, Rascal, with this kind of a lineup, it's so scary to try and fight against early. But they weathered the storm. The Midas pickup was actually brilliant by Loda because now it basically allowed him to get the two things he needed the most. Shadowblade and BKB. That has allowed him to just take control of this game. That was a silence on the puppy. Can they follow it out? He will jaunt in front of him. And no, he won't actually. Havost there to help out. Alliance looked like they wanted to run him down, but thought better of it. Didn't want to overextend. Na'Vi getting in position behind the tower. Funnick looking for a shackle, won't find it. Loda not being near enough to the trees. No jaunt from S4 following the orb. Now keep in mind, they do have Song of the Siren. If they ever want to punish Na'Vi for perhaps over-pursuing after a slow push like this, they're going to have that. Or if they're initiated upon and they don't like the look of a fight, that's just such a strong characteristic of their team.
Right now, if you're a Na'Vi fan, you definitely have to be concerned. They are getting very, very far behind, especially during that last engagement. And Alliance don't have any intention of backing up here. The AC is going to be done soon on the Alchemist, so he's got about another 1,000 gold before that item's completed. And his physical damage is going up much faster than the Gyros, and we've seen the difference between Loda having a BKB and not having one. He's able to focus whoever he wants, more or less.
Another coil, going to catch two. That's Kuro and Puppy. Beautiful phase shift of the shackle shot. Now Puppy and Kuro both blown up. Here comes the call down, but Havost can simply not stand and fight. Ake using the mech, and Havost going to be netted down. There we go. Loda going to town. Beautiful shackle. But EGM isolating Havost and allowing him to be focused because of the BKB, and two more right on top of each other. No longer. That's a full 5-man wipe. An Alliance takes one of two outer tier towers remaining. 40 seconds until Gyro's back up. He does have buyback, and he might have to spend it. They haven't even lost the Aegis. Another 60 seconds, and this just might be Rax.
This is looking like a really quick Rax coming out of Alliance. The usage of Naga Song, every single time Alliance play this hero, they do the same thing. Exactly what you said. Just wait for the BKB, isolate the hero with it, kill him. The rest of the team can't really do anything at this point because your main carry also has a BKB, and now the Rax are completely exposed. There's no glyph, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop it.
Right now, it's close. Here we go. Beautiful epicenter, going to catch one. There's Hand of God. Bulldog will make it away. S4 back in, ready to fight. Mystic Flare caught most of Bulldog, but Loda with that BKB just doesn't matter. Funnick can do nothing but run. The melee racks are already a shambles. And Alliance going to be able to retreat. They may get EGM. And yeah, that's a worthy sacrifice if you're Alliance. Losing your support Naga Siren, Loda will be able to Shadow Blade away. So Na'Vi does not come away completely empty-handed, but I'll tell you what, losing your rack short of 25 minutes, not the situation you want to be in when you're running this kind of a lineup. They have simply run out of gas. That magic damage we knew was so potent has just reached its best buy date.
You know, it's ingenious drafting by Alliance, because if you think about it, just the concept of being able to get whatever hero you want alone because of BKB, and there's only one BKB buyer on the side of Na'Vi, you can just always win the fight as long as you wait for him to pop it. And he has to, because if he doesn't, he gets stuck by Coil. There's Unstable Concoction. Alchemist is actually great against Gyrocopter in that regard, because he can just go in and trade hits, and the Alchemist simply can't, or the Gyrocopter can't keep up because of the way that he has to build. I mean, he had to go for a BKB, whereas the Alchemist is allowed to go things like Shadow Blade because he's a bit tankier, and his right-click damage scales just a little bit faster. So all in all, just fantastic play coming out from Alliance here in game number 1. And Loda, he's got the AC finished. We now see a Eul's picked up on S4, so targeting him is actually going to be impossible. Now he can dispel that Ancient Seal whenever he wants to make sure that he can always utilize Phase Shift and be in the right position. So everything really going right here for Alliance.
Well, this is where things get rough for Na'Vi. This is where Alliance right now, they're falling back in their farming. But when they feel like it, they're going to be able to start to just take over this Radiant side jungle. And it's going to be so difficult for Na'Vi to look for those picks for all the reasons you just named. BKBs are becoming plentiful. We've got one on Loda. We've got one, of course, on the Bounty Hunter as well. We can see EGM's picked up 2/3 of his BKB. 900 gold is all EGM needs to complete the third BKB on the side of Alliance. And at that point, what targets do you have? You have Ake, who has a Force Staff as well as a Mechanism as well as Hand of God. You're not going to be blowing him up no matter how hard you try. And then, of course, the last remaining hero on their side, the Puck, who by his very nature is tough to track down. Phase Shift, Eul's, Blink Dagger. It's just so hard to imagine how Na'Vi, unless Alliance is just 100% overextended, how they're going to be able to have anywhere near enough damage to basically buy time for Havost. That's the name of the game. Havost has picked up his Demon Edge. He is trying to get that damage, and don't get me wrong, he's hitting okay. He's doing about 200 damage a shot, but when you're talking about the innate survivability, the fact that EGM has Song of the Siren, even though it is just level 1, so that is one thing Na'Vi has going for them. The cooldown is still quite long on that reset button, but really, if that's the best thing you can say, yeah, Alliance has just played this game well, and here we go. Taking over this jungle, robbing Na'Vi of that income.
And once they get that last tier 2 in the bottom lane, it's bye-bye map control for Na'Vi. They're not going to be able to do much of anything about it. They're just smoking top. They want to try to get something. They know that taking a 5-on-5 engagement right now is more or less suicide. That's how far ahead Alliance is at this point. And it seems like only maybe 10 minutes ago, the game was really close in terms of how close the gold was, the experience, but it just gets out of control so fast when Alliance win team fights as handily as they do. And again, a lot of that is due to the Naga pick. When they banned out the Prophet, the Lone Druid, and they leave heroes like Naga open, Alliance are spectacular at utilizing that hero and either resetting the fight or just forcing yourself into a much better position. Now the racks, again, exposed from Na'Vi. No glyph. Here comes the teleport, though, from Wisp.
BKB's there. Epicenter going to do some good damage, but not nearly enough. Just don't have the firepower. There's a cooldown. However, Havost focused down, pops his own BKB. Hand of God gets her gloves back up. And Alliance at this point, really and truly just looking untouchable. Yeah, they call the GG. Not even waiting for that second set of racks to drop. And really, what can you say? You're talking 28 minutes, 35 seconds, all the time it took for Alliance to handle Na'Vi here in game 1, doubling them up by kill score, 18-9 by the time all was said and done. And the gold, well, we saw it at the end. You're talking 5 digits, just an utter and complete dismantling of Na'Vi.
It escalated really quickly, especially when you keep in mind the Bounty Hunter started off. He was like level 2 at 9 minutes into the game. He simply didn't have the start that he wanted to, but eventually Puck started getting his bearing on things. They get good initiations, take a couple of good team fights, and that was all she wrote for Na'Vi.
Na'Vi takes game 1. This best of 3 underway. We'll see if Alliance can turn the bagel in, or excuse me, Na'Vi can turn the bagel into the breadstick and give us a game 3, or if Alliance is going to walk away 2-0 winners. We'll throw it back to James at the caster's desk.
Thanks, AC and Draskell. So, Alliance 1-0 up, but the start of the game didn't look that amazing for them. Or for you guys, was it always going to be their map?
Well, they had the Alchemist farming the whole entire time. Havost had to rotate mid a little bit early, and they were ahead on kills. They got the first blood, but once
Na'Vi got the first blood.
Yeah, Na'Vi got first blood on middle, but Na'Vi's lineup was just all based on ganking. And if they got behind in ganks, and once S4 got his blink, they were always on the defensive. They couldn't really do anything else. They didn't really have anything that could break BKBs. They didn't have any exceptional form on Havost because he was forced to help his team out in the mid game. They didn't have any good team fight either compared to the Puck and the Naga Siren into Concoction, which we saw multiple times out of Alliance. And their strat was decent. Skyrest, very good versus Puck, but I think he needs more of a lineup built around it.
I also think one of the key issues from Na'Vi was the fact that they let Alliance get a lineup they're so incredibly comfortable with. They get the Arche on the Chen, they get S4 on the Puck, they get Loda on the Alchemist, one of the best farmers in the game right now. And then they have EGM on the Siren as well, and really, you ban out Admiral Bulldog, but he's just going to pick up a Bounty Hunter as his 5th choice to offlane. Alliance just has no weak spots right now, I think.
So do you think they just need to counter with the equally strong lineup? They gave them the Wisp.
Yeah, I think they need to come up with something better than... I don't feel like Na'Vi's lineup had the synergy.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a Darkseer perhaps instead of the Windrunner. They needed some sort of counter initiation too, because once Loda was just charging with the BKB, they could really do nothing versus it. And Dendi, he had a decent start, and it just didn't really amount to anything in the mid game.
I think like their counter initiation, they were looking for a lot from their Sand King in many ways, but once the BKB comes up on the Alchemist, it's kind of hard for Sand King to be relevant. And also we saw really early on, I think it was just gone 4 minutes, there was a Midas and brown boots on Loda. And I was like, how is this even possible? And I was like, okay, he must have maxed Greevil's Greed, and then at least got
S4 had these amazing initiates all throughout.
Yeah, he did, but you can just see Loda with the BKB up and just able to do what he wants, really. He got really big. And I believe now there's going to be a song. Havos pops his BKB. They use the song on EGM to isolate him, and they run him down. And Havos, you know...
And after this, the 2-man concoction.
Oh, yeah. And it was, you know, obvious that Na'Vi thought, yeah, there is a fighting chance, but we need to get this Gyrocopter, his MKB. We need to get him his item. And Alliance were just like, no, we're not going to give you that chance to farm. We're just going to take it to your front door. And they kick the door down. And
that's just what they do each and every game. Even if they're behind, they just at the 20-minute mark, they gather up, they do their objectives, they take down the towers, they take the fight to the enemy, and they oftentimes, on just about any game, aside from that one game they dropped, have been winning them the games.
So it doesn't seem like Na'Vi can really contest them in the early game if both of them get drafts that they want. So what strategy do you think Na'Vi should employ if they want to take down Alliance?
I think they need to put on the same kind of aggression and pushability that Alliance shows in their games. So if Na'Vi could get the hands on a Chen or disrupt Arce's Chen with an Enchantress, I think that would be great for them. Maybe take Dendi on a Shadow Fiend mid, something that can push on early with a BKB.
All right, well, we'll see what happens in game number 2. But Bruno, we'll come to you and talk to you about the game in just a little bit. But it seems like you've started a trend because there's a lot of people here in character as we go to Casey.
What's better than 1 TA? 2 TAs. This is why I love this. You can wander around down here and find so many amazing, amazing costumes. So I want you to describe to me, did you make this? Did you, how did this come about?
Yep, I made this in about 2 weeks, kind of whenever I was sitting in queue. But yeah, it was kind of, I just love this set, so I decided to go for it.
Wow. I'm like speechless. What team are you here to see?
Na'Vi.
That's coming up. We're getting ready to see.
I know. I'm ready.
Okay, and you guys actually don't know each other?
No.
Okay, so there, I'm going to do this little switcheroo. So tell me about your costume and how you made it or acquired it.
Oh, I actually had mine commissioned, and then I had most of it done, but then I had made the mask, and I did the styling of the hair and everything, and all the makeup.
And you're from LA, yes?
Yes.
So tell me what you think about Seattle and actually being here for the tournament.
Oh, it's really great. I actually really like the weather here too. It's kind of like the beach area in LA, near LA. Yeah, but I'm really enjoying it.
So are you guys gonna, here, I'll bring you back in. Are you girls gonna kind of tag team? I mean, what can you do together now that you've found each other in the crowd? What can you do together that's better than one?
Let's see. I guess now we have like an illusion rune, right, going. So.
Oh, you need to find one more?
One more.
We need one more.
Yeah.
So far, though, we'll find one more.
That's right.
What kind of pose can we strike to send it back to them?
Let's see. Want to do a meld?
I don't know if you know how to do the meld.
Do it.
Wing it.
Do it. Look who we found. Windrunner. How's it going?
Good, and you?
Good. You even have the eye makeup down. Who did that for you?
My friend actually did it for me. I usually don't do this. I don't know how to do any of this, so I asked a friend to do my makeup, and she did it.
You look fantastic. And just a few moments ago, we saw you running into some of the players. What were you thinking when you met Bulba?
I actually called him Korok, to be honest, and then I was like, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh my goodness, and I felt so bad. But he was like, no, it's okay, and I was just like, oh. We took a picture, but he was nice about it that I called him the wrong name.
So what's been your favorite part so far?
Watching the games. changed it at the main hall so that the heroes are underneath the players that are playing them, and I think that's super awesome and super beautiful. And yeah.
Can you do us a little twirl so we can see the rest of your outfit, your get up there? Nice. I like your shoes. Look what you did there.
Oh, you mean like my sandals or like
the whole thing?
Oh,
this.
Yeah, this is actual leather. It's like, yeah, all my leg guards, my arm guards, my shoulder guards, my quiver. It's all.
Where'd you find all this stuff?
I actually commissioned a local leather master in Seattle because I live in the Seattle area because I wanted it to be authentic, or as authentic as I could make it.
Well done. I'll bet you're gonna have people asking for your picture all day.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey. Yeah, there's been some great costumes here. I particularly enjoyed the tag team a little bit earlier on.
Have you enjoyed them?
Sorry? Well, I haven't met them.
Oh, okay.
You know, you don't really get to know them because of the masks. It's all anonymous. Bruno, so now the game is over. We got some stats. No more Mystic Bruno. Statman Bruno's back.
Well, I think that the reason why Navi was so confident with the previous lineup is because they were, until now, unbeaten with Skywrath Mage. They were 5-0. The 5 matches were all 3 months ago. They stopped playing the hero. I think they were keeping it. And now when they come back, actually we saw Dendi pretty much do whatever he wanted in that mid lane. The problem with that is that Skywrath Mage is not a hero that deals well with BKBs, and also the Wisp pick that they also wanted to have to dominate didn't work so well because they went 5-man Dota at exactly 13 minutes into the game and never stopped doing that.
All right, well, it looks like the game's going to be live, so I'm just going to ask Jacob, Ben, if you could give Na'Vi one piece of advice going into game number 2, what would it be?
Pray for Dendi's putts.
All right.
Push Alliance down.
Push Alliance down.
Push
that. Okay. All right, we'll see what they're going to do. So it's going to be game number 2. We hope you enjoy it. Best of luck. Na'Vi need to win this to stay in the upper bracket, and Alliance, just need to take this game to secure a spot in the grand finals and a minimum of $600,000. All's on the line to play for here. Over to the hall.
Na'Vi versus Alliance.
Alliance's turn to bat.
And we're back for game number 2 of this best of 3, the upper bracket grand finals, Alliance and Na'Vi, and what has to be the single most anticipated match of the entire tournament so far, Draskell. Both of these teams usually number 1 and number 2 picks when you ask ask people who they think will make it to the grand finals, and certainly one of these teams going to be punching their ticket coming up soon. Right now, Alliance quite a bit closer than Na'Vi. Beating Alliance just once is tough enough. Na'Vi going to have to make it 2 in a row to punch their ticket to the grand finals. But Alliance, they looked so good in game 1. Like you said, a lot of it came down to the draft. Masterful picks, masterful draft. They waited out the magic damage. They got the items they needed. And now Na'Vi up against the ropes, facing the possibility of falling to the lower bracket.
It was so hard to watch Na'Vi try to play during that game because you just get the looming sense of they were getting behind by virtue of doing nothing, basically. I mean, like they said, they had to gank, or Alliance were just going to pull ahead because of their strategy. And as Bruno stated, very early on, they got together, they started to push, and they never stopped pushing. Merlini brought up an interesting point, and I don't really think I've seen many teams try to push Alliance. Like, no one has ever really gotten the Chen against them and done anything that spectacular with it. It seems like they're just as good at playing against it as they are playing it themselves. But I think for Na'Vi, just a straight-up push strategy might be a little bit far-fetched for them. They do favor playing aggressive, but that doesn't necessarily mean going for early towers that often. So we'll see what they want to do this game. They have taken away the Chen, which I think is a good choice if you're Na'Vi, because Alliance, in my opinion, probably the best Chen team in the world, just hands down. Like, Ake's Chen is just spectacular to watch. So, and that's coming from Na'Vi, who have Puppey. So, I mean, there you go.
Nice frame of reference. And you know something everyone has on their mind, as you said, Alliance, their coordination, the way they function as a unit, their cohesion makes it so hard to play those grinded out strats, to play those push strats. They are just so good at dealing with it. Na'Vi will land the IO. Second time in a row we saw a pretty good performance out of Kuro. Unfortunately, things have obviously, you already went down all the reasons why. That IO just never really had a chance to use relocate. He just really wasn't an influence for the most part, had a few nice plays. With that pickup now, and again, what everyone's thinking, is this the kind of a game where Na'Vi throws a curveball? Is this the kind of a game where they try to get in Alliance's head? And they talked about it at the Analyst Desk before. You know, there was some mixed feelings in a lot of the community, including from Alliance, about what Na'Vi did in their Tong Fu match. You and I had the pleasure of doing that. Absolutely insane. I'm not going to say the big boy's name, but it is something that might possibly be on the menu if Na'Vi really just wants to say, you know what, balls to the wall, we're going for it. We're going to play Na'Vi Dota, not Alliance Dota. Alliance, though, does first pick the Naga Siren once again. We saw just how effective she is at shutting down any kind of aggression. Relocate ganks just are not nearly as reliable when Song of the Siren is a good way to shut it down. We'll see what they want to pick up with their second pick now.
I'm a little bit happier with the first pick Wisp this game than I was last game, because the best thing you can do against a Wisp is to play 5-man Dota. And what did Alliance do last game at 13 minutes in? They just never split. So we're going to see Bulldog on his signature hero. And honestly, I feel like he should have 2 now. It should be more than just Lone Druid. It should be Prophet as well, especially after his performance so far here at TI3. But back to the Wisp pick, if you see the fact that the Chen's banned out, it makes it so even with split-pushing heroes, I think the reason they didn't want to pick Nature's Prophet against it is because Wisp is actually fantastic against split-push lineups. You can punish it very easily. So now not only do Na'Vi have to not worry about the 5-man as much, Lone Druid can still do it, but not quite to the same effect as a Chen, because a Chen's a hero who goes early mech. He just all-around plays well with the team. Now you're creating the opportunity to split the map. Did Na'Vi want to go for the Prophet here? It's a bit greedy, but Alliance have already shown the Lone Druid, and Prophet versus Lone Druid. Lone Druid will edge him out, but the Prophet can still do reasonably well in that lane. And finally, it gives Funnick a hero where he doesn't have to do Ancients.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? The Lone Druid pick up to go with the Naga Siren, as we heard the cheer come up from the crowd. Obviously, Bulldog, one of the most famous Druid players on the planet. And I'll tell you what makes him amazing on the hero. He can play him in any way, any style that is needed by the team. How many times have we seen Alliance just say, you know what, we're going to offensively tri-lane just to throw Na'Vi or throw the enemy team off of their game. We'll leave Lone Druid to solo farm, and he'll get something stupid like a 16-minute Radiance phase boots. He has that ability. Or he can just go to the offlane, find his farm in the jungle later. He still always finds a way to be relevant. Naga Siren's actually a hero that fits in pretty well with a push lineup if Alliance wants to go in that direction. The fact that she allows you to play a lot more aggressive with your pushes and with your ability to take fights early, because she can get you out of trouble if you overextend. So it comes down to what Alliance wants to build around it. Do they want to just build an all-around kind of prototypical lineup, or do they want to do something a bit more focused and specific? This, in and of itself, already is a game where I could easily see Loda wanting to pick up the Alchemist again, just because he does fit in with the front two they already have so well.
I think Alchemist is definitely on the table here. I agree with you on that. And it's just going to come down to what Na'Vi's actual game plan is. They could do something, honestly, like a DK mid, because we haven't seen what Alliance are going to pick yet. But having a Lone Druid and a Naga Siren, I'm kind of leaning towards them getting their hands on Puck for the second game in a row. Let's be honest, S4 didn't have a great start. He was kind of getting pushed around in lane by Dendi, and he ended up giving away First Blood too. And he still managed to come back in a big way and still be a very big boon for his team. So I want to know what Na'Vi is going to ban here. They could potentially ban out one of those initiators, because when you see heroes like Lone Druid and Naga Siren together, the Naga Siren on her own really isn't that fantastic. You can stop a push, you can maybe try to turn around a team fight, but you need some real counter initiation to really make use of that song. So I'm leaning towards maybe that for Alliance, and we're going to see what Na'Vi's ban is going to be soon.
Well, you see they took out the gyro, and you're exactly right. That's a hero who fits into that exact mold you were talking about, being able to take and turn around a fight. They don't want to give that away to Alliance. Alliance getting rid of the OD. And really, both teams taking their sweet time. We could see them really burning through the reserve time, talking out this last ban. But both teams really, as you said, they can go in just about any direction. The only thing we know about Na'Vi is how aggressive they're going to want to be. That Enchantress, I would imagine, is going to be extremely active early on just to free things up. The IO, of course, will be paired with some hero at some point. We're down to 15 seconds on the reserve time right now for Na'Vi. So definitely sweating out the details. And they are going to go ahead and take out the Weaver.
Alliances.
So taking out the Weaver opens up the lanes a lot for Alliance, of course, and right now they have absolutely zero tools to deal with it. I mean, outside of a tether stun, there's no real lockdown, and overall it's a really tough hero for supports because he can just Shakuchi in, target you in the fights, and especially things like Wisp. He can kill the Wisp before the relocate counts down, so it's just a very scary thing to have to deal with. And of course, depending on what kind of carry they're going to partner it with, you might not even necessarily be able to stop the Weaver in a sideline push, where heroes like Nature's Prophet, you probably would be able to. So another band coming out from Alliance. It's actually going to be the Bounty Hunter, which obviously synergizes well with Navi's style right now. You can look for the kills, you scout it out. It's very typical to see that hero partnered with Wisp just because of how good he is at finding heroes by themselves. And that kind of says to me that Alliance maybe aren't looking to play the 5-man style this game. They've avoided the Chen, well, not avoided, the Chen got banned. They didn't pick the Enchantress, so Navi got their hands on it. Maybe Alliance are actually looking to play something a little bit different this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go back into something super late game oriented, like even, dare I say, a Coddle PL, but it is on the table here.
Absolutely. I really love that Bounty Hunter ban, because what is it that determines an IO's success when it comes to relocation ganks? It's almost always warding and vision, and of course being able to bring down towers, allow you to explore the jungles more often, etc. When you have a Bounty Hunter, that's a hero who just gives you, yep, there's that Alchemist pick we anticipated. We saw their success with that in Game 1. I'm not surprised at all. And I love this 2-core lineup they're going to have, and especially the way that they innately work together. Just between the Lone Druid and the Naga Siren, you have two abilities, that, well, one ability and one RNG, that can lock a hero down through BKB, and the Alchemist can close the distance, stay on top of that.